open workspace, reasonable price, creativity, and connectivity. Those are the significant features of coworking space, the new working model. Coworking place is known as a kind of co-office, initially developed in 2005 in San Francisco, United States. This model was spread rapidly across the US and came to Europe in 2012. It became really popular in some Asian countries, which have limited area yet economic boom, such as Singapore or Hong Kong. Being developed in Vietnam in recent years, the number of co-working spaces in big cities like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City began to appear. Co-working space is not a noisy cafeteria or an inconvenient office. It is a form of shared workspace. This model often attracts freelancers and officers in the field of information and technology.
Cities like Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, and other cities in the region, they all have co-working spaces. Travelers expect it, digital nomads expect it when they come to a place like Hanoi. And more we're seeing that Vietnamese freelancers and startups are looking for a place like this where they can work for a day, a week, or a month. More and more we're seeing that Vietnamese freelancers and small startups are looking for a place where they can work without any long-term commitment, which is normally required if you're going to rent an office, for example.
In today's program, we will learn more about co-working space, new working model through the talk with Phlip Arthur Moore, Chief Technology Officer of the Professional Themes. Also, we will learn some of the pioneer co-working space models in Vietnam. Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam on VTC10 Netviet. I'm Yet. In our program today, we'll have a talk to Mr. Philip Arthur Moore, software developer living in Vietnam, and he will share with us about the topic of co-working space, working model, boosting creativity. Thank you, Mr. Philip Arthur Moore, for joining our program today. First of all, can you share some information regarding to the concept of co-working space? And when was this initially invented?
So the concept of a co-working space is a place for remote workers, or let's say you're traveling, let's say you need a place to work in a city. It's like an office, but it does not belong to a company. I mean, the idea of co-working space has been around 2005, San Francisco area. A lot of them started popping up in the area, and now in places like San Francisco, Brooklyn, a lot of these spaces are popping up where people pay a membership fee every month. They have an office. They don't need to pay long-term contracts on places to work.
How was co-working space brought to Vietnam, and which kind of community of working is closely tied to this working model?
So we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, places like Commune, places like ClickSpace, Hub IT. So most of the people who you will find in co-working spaces do all of their work on the internet. Software developers, writers, freelancers, people who do all of their work on the internet. It's fortunate that places like this exist because in the past we would have to go to coffee shops where Wi-Fi is not reliable. We would have to go to many different places around the city, and we didn't know if the conditions were conducive to co-working that day. So these spaces exist for people like me who do software development, or people who are artists who want to get away and do some work.
What are the advantages of co-working space for the public, especially for the freelancers?
So there are personal benefits and business benefits. And so the personal benefit of spaces like these is that it creates a clear balance between your life at home and your life away from home, which is work and meeting people outside in the community. The business benefits that come from doing things like this, working in these spaces, is that you meet a lot of people, you learn of a lot of new business opportunities, you hear a lot of ideas. Most of the people who work in these co-working spaces, a lot of them are very young, they're very bright, they do a lot of startups, there's ideas floating in the air in these spaces, and being here, you hear a lot of them. it causes you to come up with ideas of your own. It's sort of it's a very healthy space for developing smart business ideas.
Do you think that this Western-originated working model is suitable for Vietnamese people?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that Vietnamese people now, if you look at any startup space, so co-working and startups kind of go hand in hand. You know, most of the Westerners and the expats who come to Vietnam, they will come and they will go. They will not stay. So in order for an idea like this to survive, it has to be maintained by Vietnamese people. Westerners cannot maintain the idea of co-working in Vietnam without a community in Vietnam who embraces that idea.
One of the first co-working spaces in Vietnam developed by foreigners is ClickSpace. Located deep in a small alley near Westlake, ClickSpace is a destination for many expats and travelers coming to work. With the criteria of an open and creative workspace, ClickSpace provides many benefits to customers, including essential office infrastructures. You can use the seat and pay fees by day, week, or month. Besides, ClickSpace also regularly organizes workshops and events to create opportunities for people to meet, get acquainted, and share new cooperation opportunities.
Well, I've been traveling for a few months now, and I find that having, one place to go every day and get work done is, much more efficient than hopping around in cafes. And, it's always quiet, and I get to meet, like-minded people and collaborate if needed. So I enjoy working here.
Besides the co-working space developed by foreigners in Vietnam, some other models launched by Vietnamese youngsters gradually appear. iHouse co-working space is a typical example. Being operated since November 2014, iHouse co-working space has served a number of clients, ranging from the freelancers, graphic designers, to teachers and officers. The unique features of iHouse are the quiet garden space, environmentally friendly, along with an innovative design and reasonable cost. iHouse has impressed the first guests working here.
Đối với cái mô hình coworking này thì thế giới họ không còn xa lạ, nhưng mà ở Việt Nam thì nó cũng khá là mới mẻ. Thì theo mình thì thứ nhất là có một cái rất là tốt đối với họ là cái kết nối giữa những cái freelancer với nhau. Khi mà họ làm việc ở đây thì có những người làm mảng này, có những người làm mảng kia, nhưng mà khi họ cần thì họ có thể kết hợp với nhau được. Cái thứ hai là họ có thể tự tạo ra một cái team phát triển công việc riêng cho họ. Đó, và cái thời gian làm việc ở coworking thì nó khá là thoải mái.
Nhiều lúc thì mình thấy là đến đây mình có thể tập trung hơn được. Khi ngồi văn phòng thì người chạy qua người chạy lại này, rồi người nói to hay là điện thoại gì đấy thì nó cũng ảnh hưởng mình. Rồi chưa kể đến cái không gian rất là gò bó ở đây thì mình có một cái không gian mở, thân thiện với cả môi trường. Thế thì đến đây nhiều lúc mình cảm thấy thoải mái hơn, thế nên là công việc nó sẽ hiệu quả hơn.
According to a recent survey by Deskmark, a pre-teacher's online magazine specializing in co-working space, 71% of respondents said that their creativity increases when working here. 62% said their productivity increased remarkably, and 90% said they become more confident when working with others. One of the greatest values of co-working space is the connectivity. Here, everyone will find new partners who have the same business passion. They can share innovative business ideas and expand network. Co-working space has always been a potential environment for young, passionate entrepreneurs wanting to shorten the distance of the race of technology and intelligence nowadays. What did you think about the development of coworking space in Vietnam recently?
The development of co-working spaces happens alongside the development of new companies, right? So in order to have a co-working space, you need customers who do what we do. The fact that co-working spaces have started to rise, to me indicates that startups are becoming more popular, that technology in Hanoi and technology in Saigon is only getting bigger, that a lot of people are moving over to this region of the world. It really, to me, indicates a growth in technology in the region when I see the growth of co-working spaces. So it's a very, very positive.
Well, people say that co-working space is new working style that can boost the creativity of people. Can you give some reasons for this?
So when I'm home with my wife, just talking about my day-to-day problems or my programming, or people are out with their friends, they can't really bounce ideas off of each other. You can't really discuss things like programming problems or business ideas. These are your friends and family who can't really contribute. I meet for coffee, I discuss a problem with them, and after 30 minutes I have an idea. There's a new solution that I never thought of because I met someone at a co-working space, we went out for coffee, and we talked about technology. So these places really help people like me find other people who are like me to talk about the problems that we're trying to fix and find solutions to. So I think that's where the creativity comes from.
As I know that many Vietnamese people barely know this concept, do you have any advice for foreign and Vietnamese companies developing or running this kind of working model in Vietnam?
So I would say that the biggest thing that the Vietnamese companies can do is, number one, trust your employees. You have to trust your employees to be able to manage themselves. The idea of self-management, the idea of independent working, of being able to control our time. For this to work in Vietnam, the culture around management and employees needs to change a little bit, and managers and bosses need to trust their employees. And if they trust their employees and they give their employees power to manage themselves and to control themselves, spaces like this will just keep popping up.
What do you think about the potential of co-working space in Vietnam in the future?
I think that the potential is great as long as the growth of technology continues. So if Vietnam, if cities like Ho Chi Minh City, if cities like Hanoi start having more technology, then these are going to facilitate the growth of these co-working spaces. Although you have a lot of remote workers who are working in places like these, you have a lot of expats who come. In order for these spaces to really, really thrive, you have to have a community, a strong community of people here.
Thank you, Mr. Philip Arthur Moore, for joining our program today. And that is also the end of our program, Sharing Vietnam. I hope that we give you a lot of information regarding to the new working model, co-working space, as well as its advantages for the public. For comments and feedbacks, please send it to sharingvietnam@netviet.tv.net. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.